Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to the Everyday Investor, the hottest real estate investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. We've got a fantastic show lined up. We're going to be talking about how you can make money lending your money in the world of mortgages. Make sure you got your pen, your paper, your calculator, all that kind of good stuff. And remember, whenever you're introduced to any type of investment opportunity, you always want to ask the 4 questions to start. Number 1, what is the ROI, the return on investment? Number 2, when do I get that? 3, what is the investment amount needed? And 4, what is the risk, the worst case scenario? Have my good friend on the show, Jordan Campagnaro. She's a big wig at ProFunds Mortgages, director of investment operations. And one of her clients who's been investing in mortgages, several of them, is enjoying a great lifestyle. We want to learn about how she's making money just doing that, investing in different types of mortgages. Wendy Forest is on the show. Wendy, thank you so much for being here with us. And Jordan, it's always great to see you. So we got to talk a little bit, Wendy, before the show, and you were just thrilled about what's happened to you in the last, how long have you been investing in mortgages now?
About 2 years now.
In the last
just
2 years?
Just about 2 years, yes.
And you're in five different investments?
I'm in 5 now, and 2 have paid out already.
Of the 5?
So, no.
Oh, so seven
altogether.
total.
Yes,
wow, in 2 years.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And 2 have already exited, and you're also enjoying some cash flow from the from the other ones.
I have some monthly money coming in to help with my living expenses.
Yeah.
I have money going into TFSAs and into RSP, and it's changing my life in ways I can't even tell you.
You shared with you that you're on your way to retirement. You're already semi-retired right now.
Semi-retired. I'm a real estate broker. I've worked really, really hard. I've been a landlord.
You've done
chased everything that moves, and now I don't want to do that anymore. And so finding out about ProFunds, I can't even tell you, it has changed my life.
That's great. I mean, I'm sure for you and for Carmen Jordan, who's president of ProFunds. I'm sure you guys are excited when you get to hear stories. It was one thing to help people make money, but as we've always talked about, life is not about making money. Yeah. It's about being able to enjoy time with loved ones, family, friends, and money helps us to be able to do that.
Right.
So talk a little bit about, kind of the philosophy behind ProFunds, Jordan, in terms of this is exactly, she's a perfect case study who's verbalizing what it's been able to do for her.
Yeah, Wendy's a perfect example of what we strive to do, and we've seen so many people that we've been able to help in that kind of capacity, and providing them that passive cash flow that they don't have to run around and deal with tenants or stress. It can kind of, once they pick their investment and they allocate their funds toward that, it's as easy as just kind of sitting back, relaxing, and collecting that cash flow. So we see a lot of clients that are looking to retire or even retire earlier in their lives that are kind of using this investment vehicle, and it's been instrumental in their growth. Yeah,
I've been investing in this game for, I'm 45 now. My first property was when I was 16. Me and my mom bought a townhouse. And so, it's been 30 years. You've been in the industry for a long time. You've been a real estate agent for a long time. You've seen it all. Like you said, you've had properties, tenants. But this is the first time you've been introduced to this strategy, investing in mortgages. Isn't that something that, and I'm always learning, in terms of doing mortgages, land deals, all that kind of stuff. You're always learning. Doesn't matter if you've been in the business for 2 years or for 30 years. It's always great to be able to learn. So this kind of marriage between yourself and ProFunds, it's an interesting story. You were a fan of a mutual friend of all of ours, Scott McGilvery, watching him on TV, and kind of share the story. What happened from there?
Well, I went to a Scott's Wealth Tour event, and basically I was on track for a pretty good future. I was trying to light a fire under a friend of mine and ended up lighting a fire under myself.
So you brought a friend with you to hear Scott talk about it, and Scott's, his outfit is closely related to ProFunds Mortgages, and so you brought a friend out to that, but you were the one that got inspired, and then you met ProFunds from there, and the rest is history.
Exactly, and I did watch for a little while. I learned about ProFunds. together with other organizations that were at the seminars. And I did watch for a little while. I got on the mailing list for the different investment opportunities. There was one I was going to jump into locally that I could drive by and see the site, etc. But it was ProFund's decision not to go through with that particular one because the due diligence just didn't pan out in a way that would protect the investors.
So that gave you some great confidence.
So that gave me,
right?
that was like,
Yeah.
wow, they're not just so anxious to get the money that they'll put us into anything. So that already was amazing. And then I guess a couple of months went by, and then I was able to jump into something, again, that I was able to drive to and see the project. It was a house being built, and the people were refinancing their existing home and I guess an investment to have the money to finish the property. It was a new build.
Yeah.
And so I was able to drive out there, and the license plate of one of the cars I saw in the driveway was Land Pays. And I
Land
said,
Pays.
Land Pays.
Nice.
So I said, yep, I think this is it. So I jumped in, and it paid out fairly quickly.
Yeah, it was a really quick turnaround time. That
Right.
one, it paid out within a few months.
Yeah, and,
so you made some good returns on that.
Exactly,
It paid out, and then
exactly.
we were in a position to find another investment opportunity.
Exactly.
And we do have one today that we can discuss a little bit, and that Wendy's been paid out of
That's
at
right.
this point.
So there was that one, which I borrowed funds from line of credit for that.
You borrowed
Because
the
it was
funds
worth
from
it.
that to
It
be
was
able to do that?
yeah, because it
Very
paid me
cool.
more than I was paying my bank for line of credit.
And yeah, we'll go through that one in a few minutes. So basically, you're in 7 different projects. You know
Altogether
total
7.
total,
5
and then
active.
and 5 are active, and you closed on 2.
Correct.
And those 2 that you closed, what were the terms on those? How long were they?
Originally, the first one was for a year, but it was open for the people that were borrowing the money.
They could pay back anytime.
Right. So
Okay.
I think the idea
So
was to
about-
finish the property and then refinance that property. So
Yeah.
I think it was maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 months total.
Nice.
And that one was paying monthly.
Yeah.
With a lender bonus, I think, of about $2,000 at the end.
Nice.
No, it was when upon mortgage
beginning,
registration
yeah.
at the beginning.
Okay.
So it was like a little thank you. Hello, thank you. Thank you. Here's money.
I mean, it was a thank you, but it was in the contract, right? That
Oh
it was
yeah,
gonna be
no.
at the
It was
end.
all stipulated.
Yeah.
That thank you for basically investing in our vision.
Yeah.
So that
And
one
was
paid
6
out.
months.
Yeah, about 6
Yeah.
months, and then
Okay.
I waited and I watched, and then in the summer another opportunity came up for a home that was a second mortgage refinance, as I recall.
Yeah.
Had a lot of equity, the property, a lot of
Yeah,
equity.
what was fabulous
Yeah.
about this is although it was a second mortgage, it was actually roughly a 50% loan
Yeah.
to value. So
Wow.
although they're going in a second position, they have so much equity.
that it was
So it was
Isn't
a
that
very,
interesting?
very
Very
secure
interesting, 'cause
position.
you would think that person would, why not just take money out themselves of their property? But then there's reasons why not.
That's
They
right.
may not want to ruin their preferred interest rate that they have,
Exactly.
and so they would go to somebody like Wendy. Wendy would lend them the money. They would do what they want with it, make lots more than they're paying to Wendy, and so it's a win-win.
Yeah.
So Jordan,
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask you then is how, you assist, how does ProFunds assist Wendy through this process? So something comes up,
Yeah.
we give it out to our preferred database, of which Wendy is. She says, I like this opportunity. We help her get her funds to the right place. So these funds were a combination of home equity line of credit. Were some of them registered funds as well, RSPs? And
And this
the
one, I
second
think it
one
was
also cash
yeah.
from line of credit.
Yeah.
And then after that, I got into, I sold a rental property and
Yeah.
I had equity.
Yeah.
But for this particular one, again, I went to the line of credit. So I got the money from the first one,
Yeah.
paid off the line of credit.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, borrowed from it again. That's the beauty of the line of credit.
Yeah,
You
we
don't have to
see-
justify to anybody what you're doing.
We see so many investors that leverage that aren't really aware that everyone is told to pay down their mortgage, and that's kind of their traditional protocol that people try to do. But we see so many people that they've got equity available in their homes,
the
and
value
if they
of that.
leverage that and invest. So many great possibilities.
Well, great. Listen, I love having you guys on the show. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll jump into one of your deals and look at the exact numbers of how you did. We're talking to Wendy, Jordan, learning how to make money investing in mortgages. Thank you for watching The Everyday Investor. We'll continue in just a moment. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking about how to make money, lending your money in the world of mortgages. We're talking to Wendy, who has done 7 different mortgage lending vehicles, closed already on 2. We're going to examine one of those. My guest co-host, if you will, is Jordan Campagnaro, is being on the show, and you smile, but you are a great co-host with me. So maybe we'll have to start our own little show together. But thank you, Jordan, for being here. So Wendy, let's look at one of your properties. So you lent your money to who? You don't have to give a name, but was it a developer? Was it an individual? Was it a syndicate, private?
That particular one was it was actually an individual, and I think that he had some problem with sickness.
Okay.
And had fallen behind, and he needed a boost.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what it's about. It's not always
nice
helping
to
the
be able
big
to help
builders.
somebody.
It's
It's a win-win.
It's a
Yeah, and that's
win-win.
what we
He
strive
had
to
equity in the
do
property, you know.
to create those kind of scenarios where we're helping the borrowers and, you know, bridging basically from one place to another, and as well as helping our investors to be able to earn returns. So
Okay, so
great scenario in this case.
So Wendy, you lent out how much money?
80,000.
80K. So you lent out 80K was the investment, and that went to, let's call our friend here, Jim. So we lent out $80,000 to Jim, and the term on this, Jim wanted it for how long?
So this was a 1-year term.
So this is a 1-year term, okay?
It was a total mortgage of about $600,000 that this individual was looking for.
Yeah.
So it was secured on his principal residence.
Yeah.
And as we mentioned, it was about a 50% loan to value.
So sorry, say that again. So he wanted to borrow $600,000?
Yeah, so we borrowed it. So
total?
Wendy was actually in a syndicate.
syndicate.
So it was to an individual, but it was a syndicate. So there was a
this is
couple
group
parties
mortgage.
together
and
coming.
so of that 600,
Wendy invested.
put in $80,000.
That's
So he
right.
wanted to borrow $600,000, but the value of his property was how much in total?
Yeah, it
over $2 million.
was
Over
yeah.
$2 million, and half of that was equity. The other half he had already was a mortgage to, let's say, one of the banks.
Yeah.
So there was
Inclusive of our mortgage, yeah.
yeah, so there was a lot of equity there. So you must have felt very safe on this
Yes.
deal,
Yeah.
and it was secured against Jim's principal
Correct.
residence.
Correct.
Okay, and so what was he going to pay you on the $80,000? What was how did it work out?
So it was a 12.5% return.
12.5% return. Congratulations. Okay.
And this one, actually, there was no lender fee. It was all in the form of interest.
Yeah.
And in this case, Wendy could elect to receive monthly payments, so that 12.5 over 1 year paid monthly to her.
Yeah.
Or she could get an upfront payment of her interest for the 1 year as well. So that's what actually she
that
chose.
what you did?
Door number 2.
Door number 2. So you got it all up front. Okay, great. So you got 12.5%. I don't know what that is. That works out to about $10,000.
Yeah.
So you got the $10,000 up front. So in essence, you kind of, you gave really out 70,000, or you put out the 80 and get back 10, or you just give 70.
I gave. Well, sometimes it can be that way, but
Because it's a few days or a few weeks.
Yeah.
And when you say up front, I put out the $80,000, and then within a few weeks.
Usually
Oh,
it's
not
within
even.
like 5 to 10 business
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
As soon as we were able to close the mortgage,
back.
handle it off to our mortgage administrator, and then they make all of the payments, so the upfront or the monthly.
it's all done electronically.
And it's all done electronically. I tell people I'm either very lazy or I'm really smart, but I don't really like to leave the house too much. So in this case, the lawyers, everything was all done electronically.
All done
from the
electronically.
comfort of your own home.
Yeah. All I had to do was, because it was a different lawyer than the other one I had done, I had to go to an official, a doctor. I think I went to a veterinarian.
Yeah.
Because
Sort of notary to be able to sign off.
had to verify my passport.
That this is
verify
me,
my-
Wendy Forest.
And then
Yeah.
from then on, all electronic. I do digital signing.
That's amazing.
And the
So
money came back, and I applied it to my line of credit, which is where I had taken it from. So now I only owed
You took it from
$70,000.
so let's talk about that first. So you made $10K on this, but you took that $80,000 from a line of credit. So that $80,000 was from a line of credit. Do you know how much it cost? Because you didn't borrow this money for too long.
Yeah.
So how much did it cost to borrow that $80,000 roughly?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I don't know. It was 3 1/4, and I was getting 12 1/2. So.
Yeah.
Big,
so you made
a few $100. I don't know.
Okay, so it was 3 1/4, and you were at 12.5. So let's just say you made 9% clear.
Yeah. Oh,
Right?
yeah.
So
Percentage-wise, yes. Dollar-wise, I'm not sure.
So you
But-
cleared 9%. You didn't use any really of your own. I mean, there's a margin there, right?
Yes, of course.
So you're borrowing.
I was
to
paying
lend.
it down. I was paying down the line of credit during the year
Yeah.
that the mortgage was active.
So that works out to be about $7,000 that you made.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
we call this scenario kind of the be the bank,
the
essentially,
bank.
because you're able to utilize that money and make money on it, and you're not having to come in with,
No, it's brilliant.
anything.
You're
yeah.
borrowing money from the bank
Yeah.
at 3%, to say, and you're lending it out at 12%.
Exactly.
So your difference is 9%. You use none of your own money, you know.
Exactly.
And so 9% on the 80 that you lent out, you made over $7,000.
That's right.
And you know, that's a family of 4 to, you know, we could go to Mexico for a week,
Exactly.
enjoy whatever the case may
Exactly.
be, right?
Yeah, or pay down other debts.
Yeah, pay down other
That are
debts.
maybe costing more, you know, anything.
Invest in other things, you
and
know.
the best
so-
thing was I was giving a leg up to this family that needed help because of, I can't remember what it was, but he had been sick.
Yeah.
And, you know, some things had gone into default.
And obviously
But
it
he
worked
had the
out for him
equity.
because he paid it back.
Exactly.
He paid it
yeah,
back.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
great.
And I got it back a year later. I think he wanted to extend, but you could choose whether you wanted to stay in or whether you wanted to
Yeah,
Exactly.
withdraw,
And you had other
exit.
things that came up.
And
so
I had
you
other
wanted
things
to-
that came up, and so I requested to exit,
Yeah.
and I got my money back. No problem.
So there's a lot of everyday people watching this show. We're all everyday people. Wendy's here as an everyday investor. Somebody wants to kind of get started, Jordan. What's the process? They contact Pro Funds. We get on a mailing list. I mean, how does this?
Yeah, I mean, contacting Pro Funds, we're able to provide you with a bunch of information on how to get started. Our mailing list is pretty important because that's where all of our new mortgage offerings are sent through.
Yeah.
So by signing up to that, you have the ability to see, you know, what's available.
Yeah.
And
And it's first come, first serve, obviously. I
is.
mean, your database, I don't know what it is. It must be in the thousands. And we do a lot of deals, but we're not doing a deal a day. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that we get set up if we are interested.
Exactly. So to be fair to all the investors, it is a first come, first serve basis. So if you see an investment that you're interested in, the typical protocol would just be to respond, let us know. From there, we'll send you all of the information, all of the due diligence on that mortgage,
Yeah.
and then each investor can go through and review it for themselves and say, okay, is this something I'm comfortable with? Do I want to proceed with this?
Yeah.
If they decide they do, then they can actually complete an online reservation form, and that will get basically put on a list, and we'll allocate that mortgage, and anyone else would basically be held in a contingency, and we call them if a spot happened to open up.
Great. So the
missed
first,
out.
sorry?
I missed out a couple of times.
You
So
missed out a couple
I
times.
didn't
Well,
move fast
listen,
enough.
I don't know if I feel too sorry for you, Wendy. You're doing a great job here, and
Now-
I congratulate you on that.
I learned.
We always ask, what's the return on our investment? Well, in this case, 12.5%. When do you get it? She got it within a year. I mean, she got the profit right up front. The investment amount for this, you put in $80,000, and on this particular deal, not a lot of risk when you have 50% loan to value. Meaning that he only had 50% mortgage and the 50% was all equity, but he needed that kind of
Yeah,
that
and
kind
this
of money.
is a perfect example of a, so to speak, individual mortgage that Pro Funds would offer. So, a small group of investors would come together and lend to us one individual.
Wonderful. Listen, Wendy, thank you so much for being on the show again. I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're going to take a break here, and then Jordan, just kind of your final thoughts. The Everyday Investor will continue in just a moment with Jordan Campagnaro. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hey, it's Rob. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking about how to make money, lending money. Jordan, it's great having you on the show, and that was so cool, Wendy, being here. I mean, I'm sure that is very gratifying to know that you can help somebody to lend out money, make a return on investment. She's now semi-retired, looking to retire. And we have several clients like that, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's a great part of the job to be able to see how we're impacting people in their lives, and enabling them to spend time with their families or do the things that they truly want to be doing.
So the deal that we looked at, because she said she's done 7 and exited on 2, the deal that we looked at, it was $80,000 that she had invested. What are typically the minimum amounts that you need?
That one, because it was syndicated, meaning we did have a group of investors, we were preferring a 50,000 minimum.
Okay.
You know, we are open to flexibility, so if you're just short of that, you know, we're welcome to work with you. But yeah, on that one it was typically 50.
And all walks of life, you know, I mean, she's going into retirement, but I know there's people that are in your demographic, if you will, you know, kind of younger, just post-university, that are looking to invest, because sometimes I know you've taken $25,000 on certain deals, and so somebody might get an inheritance, somebody might get, so all walks of life that are investing?
Oh yeah, we see people from, you know, exactly as you mentioned, just getting started. Maybe they have 25,000. That's, you know, they have that in a TFSA and they want to get that growing. You know, we see lots of people who've got equity in their homes, and maybe they don't have access to cash, but they've got that equity sitting there. And you know, when we can help them go through the numbers, and you know, there's been phenomenal results when we can even pay off their mortgage payments and they're still netting great returns that are enabling them to have that extra passive cash flow.
I mean, how cool is it that you borrow the money to lend the money and make that margin of, she was making like 9%, right? She borrowed at 3 and lent out at 12. I mean, you know.
Yeah, so that's a very, very common thing that we see and do. And as we're a mortgage brokerage, we actually help people with their financing, and then we can get them into a great investment.
Well, that's just fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's a great treat when you're able to be on, so thank you so much. And thank you, viewers at home, for watching the show. Without you, we wouldn't have one. To learn more about how you can become an everyday investor, please follow us on social media. That includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of good stuff. Or you could go to our website, and please do. It is www.theeverydayinvestor.tv. On behalf of myself, Raptor, we'll see you next week, same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Ciao, everyone.